Joining us for Game 4 of the day, where Clutch Gaming take on FlyQuest. My name is David Victorelli, and missing from a 2016 champion leaderboard is Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler. Were you the best in NA, if anything, 2 years ago?
No.
Colorcaster?
Nope.
How about all right, you know what? That's fine. Let's turn to the starting roster for the teams that are very good at League of Legends. Starting on the blue side, you can see them right here. Clutch Gaming, Solo in the top lane, Lyra in the jungle, Febivin in mid, Apollo in the bot lane alongside Hakwo at support with their coach David Lim.
And on the red side, it is FlyQuest in the top lane, Flame in the jungle, and in the mid lane, Fly. Bottom lane, Wild Turtle. Supporting again is going to be JJ, and on stage with them, as always, will be Coach Rapidstar. Happy to see him back.
Absolutely. Now, last week, FlyQuest finally brought in their somewhat intended starting lineup. They got their mid laner in, Fly is in, 2 Fly. Looks like a wholly better team.
Yeah, they definitely did seem to have good coordination right off the bat, bringing him in. They had a composition where they put together Rakan and Galio. Fly was the second part of that engage, following up on the Rakan, and that was how they got a very cohesive win for the team. Secondly, they did get a loss, but they still had him on one of these mobility champions from the mid lane. It was Talia. He was using the walls to gain objectives for themselves, and it still looked like FlyQuest seemed to be finding their footing here now that they've found the intended starters for themselves.
Yeah, I think they look really, really good right here as a team overall. So as FlyQuest do find their groove, Clutch Gaming's Lyra is trying to find his own role in the meta.
제가 LCK를 하다 와서 그런지 초반 주도권 실수 안 하고 스노우볼 굴리기 이거를 좀 중점적으로 하다가 이제 뭔가 팀에서는 이제 탱크 정글 후반 한타 뭔가 조금 더 팀 파이트에 유용한 그런 챔피언을 원하다 보니 뭔가 주도권과는 조금 다르게 상대 정글이 제 정글도 들어오고 상대 정글이 나를 이기는 상황이 매번 나오니까 저도 막 지는 게 저한테는 와닿지 않고 맨날 이기다 보니 지는 게 약간 뭔가 연습도 덜 돼 있고 좀 머릿속이 약간 백지가 되는 경우도 있는 것 같아서 제가 많이 지금 힘들어하는 것 같은데 지금은 그냥 진짜 맞춰 나가는 단계인 것 같아요.
And we'll see what Lyra can find for himself. He did get a COTS game in there yesterday, which looked pretty solid for him. And yeah, figuring out what Lyra was going to come into the season with is going to be a kind of continued journey, I guess.
I mean, jungling is one of the positions that a lot of people do struggle with how to fit in with the teams, because jungle as a role does change a lot from season to season. We've always had some pretty big jungle patches, and it is such an involved role in all of the lanes, so you really have to have that synergy with everyone. Clutch, though, they had a very good 2-0 week. It was the first 2-0 week that they had last week, so they're coming into this one with some momentum.
Let's see what comes through into this one. Yeah, the teams they took down, TSM as well as Optic Gaming. We'll see if they can do well against a maybe stronger opponent in this new Recharge FlyQuest. Of course, want to point out JJ continuing to start for the roster here on Fly's side.
Yep, JJ in the bottom lane. Across from him is going to be Apollo, who got Baron steals, Dragon steals with the Ezreal. So, I mean, Ezreal already pretty decently high priority AD carry, but we may even see it rise up the ranks here, because those were definitely some clutch steals from him. You don't want to have to rely on that sort of strategy, though. No. Long-range spells to be able to steal objectives with.
No.
If you're going to get them, though, definitely worth the ban. Talia and Galio, also the target bans we talked about for Fly. Those are the 2 champions that he used from mid lane, and they kind of encapsulate the style that you want to see from this player.
Totally, and even though the Rise is a very frequent ban for a lot of other teams, it still has that mobility ultimate coming in there. More mid lane pinch, by the way, as FlyQuest also dropped Azir away. We saw Febby do incredibly well on the champion, and it means a rush pick now for Skarner. Sadly for Lyra, it probably does mean it's Cinderhulk Skarner still, but maybe they pull a book, or a page out of TSM's book, and he gets to go Predator and do some early fighting. Yeah,
Predator definitely interesting to try and pull off some more early game moves and make the threat a little bit more creative there with Skarner, because everybody knows, you know, the idea with this champion, using the ultimate, get a high priority target, and what you need there is either assistance from your team to try and control the battlefield, or some extra speed boosts. Across the way, though, Sejuani is very likely and very common answer, as Sejuani is just such a universally good tank on the front line. Because of her passive, she gets a lot of extra tanky stats to mitigate damage. People are very often taking Aftershock now as well, which goes to further mitigate more early game damage, and you can bring that crowd control. There's the Ezreal, though.
Yep.
We talked about it, Freak, and they actually steal it away from Apollo.
We got it in. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was an EU LCS jungler talking about after the resolve stat splits, you actually get some attack speed going, resolve precision. You don't have to go fleet anymore to make your jungle feel good, and he thought that was a really good point that made Sejuani feel a bit better in the jungle. Brinkley Brain, good stuff out of that one. And you're going to see a nice Ornn coming through for Clutch Gaming. It will be a flex between top and support, though typically we're seeing him more and more be a support player in North America, though a top laner frequently in other places in the world.
And it's kind of what I was talking about them possibly looking for with Skarner. Skarner isn't the best, primary engage, but if you have people to control the battlefield or speed boost you up, then it can make it a lot more useful to have that high impact ultimate on a priority target. Ornn is one of the best at controlling the battlefield. Because of the ultimate, the width there, and you get 2 passes, you can basically get an entire screen filled with crowd control, slow people down, knock them up there with the Ornn ultimate. And then Orianna is a great mid laner to also assist there with the speed boost as well.
Follow-up going to be fun. Now, FlyQuest covering on a Kassadin here as they round out the first. Okay, going to go to Vladimir instead. And that's a semi-blind Vlad, because again, you don't know for sure if Ornn is going top or support. Both Hakuho and Solo have played it once, so it is a coin flip at this point in time. I'd like it a bit more support, but we'll have to see. Now time for the second ban phase, as FlyQuest have gotten themselves top jungle and their AD carry Wild Turtle. And somewhat similar roles here, Clutch Gaming. They've got a jungle and a mid laner and a flex top support.
Yeah, you would expect FlyQuest to probably also throw maybe a Tristana ban up there along with the Callista, take that one away from Apollo, and just push them down the tier list a little bit there. The Vladimir they're talking about as well, talking about flex pick and semi-blind. Into Orianna, it could go into the mid lane if they really wanted to, but Orianna does get a lot of early harass on the Vladimir, and that might create an area where Clutch Gaming would be able to work off earlier in the game.
So Callista and Caitlyn removed from the options, 2 of the more lane-dominant AD carries Apollo could have picked up. Even though he only played each of these champions once apiece, he's got other champions he plays a lot, both the Trist and Varus, which he's played twice, still available to him. Remember talking with one of the other North American AD carriers, he said one of the most annoying things playing against Apollo is he mains a bunch of tier 2 AD carries, where his most comfortable champions are champions you don't want to have to ban because you want to ban the Kog'Maws of before 8.3 where he was a dumpster champion, and that kind of stuff. So they're kind of targeting a little bit of the Apollo specials right here. No Aurelion Sol as well for Fly. Again, another mid lane roam that they know from his time in the LCK, playing in Korea. Trying to pinch that down even further as it's now FlyQuest time to pick, and they're going to blind kind of Anar, and that means Vlad's gonna go mid.
Aha, see?
Yep.
Vladimir possible into Orianna here. It's not one of the roaming style champions that you would expect from Fly. Still is very much team oriented, as it really shines in the mid game in these team fights. When you can burst down the back line, he'll still take Spellbook. You start out with Ignite for lane, and it has helped out his laning phase tremendously, the addition of Spellbook there. Because he also has the fallback option, of course, of switching it out, going back to the teleport. And then still, teamfight utility of a Ghost later on to move around. No hesitation here for Apollo, though. Varus is one of those AD carries that you mentioned that he does main. It's not actually a tier 2. It's definitely
that one's up there
tier 1 right now.
For sure.
And they're very happy to grab this bottom lane. Apollo and Hakuho definitely can go for kills in their lane. These two have been very strong as a lane duo. Just by themselves, and there's a lot of crowd control there.
I do like Morgana into Braum as a head-to-head matchup. It also should give FlyQuest the general push lead. Ezreal not a sick pusher, but Morgana being ranged help it a little bit. So if FlyQuest want priority bottom side to let Anda invade through that side of the map, that should be available in the 2-on-2. Fly on the Vladimir, I don't know how much of a curveball it's going to be towards Clutch Gaming, but interesting to see that all the same. And it's going to be Ornn Nar topside.
Yeah, as far as the Morgana and Ezreal lane, I have seen a couple people running the Morgana with Glacial Augment as a support champion. And later on, it's hard to get used out of it in team fights and stuff because you're a support Morgana. But in the lane, it was actually fairly effective in the few games that I saw it, where they land the slow from the buffed Glacial Augment due to range champions, and then you can land Binding / Ezreal Poke. So there's a possibility of this FlyQuest bottom lane if they're able to land a lot of their poke in gaining an advantage, but I wouldn't expect the early game to be centered around there.
Yeah, maybe not. So we'll see what comes through as this one, and I'm very curious to see what Lyra's going to run for himself. Of course, You mentioned Spellbook a second ago. We are on 8.3. Spellbook did get nerfed as far as the overall summoner CDR, so we're seeing it much less overall. Plus, you can't go stopwatch in boots, so I'm glad to see the runes shake up a little bit more over time, and I'm always interested in what that looks like here. Team comp's on your screen, and gonna be a fun one to watch for. Certainly some team fight power on both these sides. More or less tanks in the top lane here as well, and yeah, it just seems like a lot of the champions are filling somewhat similar roles.
Yeah, it's kind of the state of the current meta. You can't really go into a game without teamfight presence. Very few teams are capable of pulling off the coordination that you need to do like a pure split pushing or a pure pick-off composition here. So we'll have to take a look and see if they're able to get to this stage of the game. I always like the initial fight over Skarner Spires because it can add quite a bit of momentum to Skarner's early game jungle if your side lanes are strong enough to be able to capture Spires early on. Then you don't have to give away your position when you're going for scuttles. Then you can also move through the river much more quickly to either get to counter ganks or try to affect those lanes.
Things to watch for then is champions fight each other. Want to give another quick shout out, by the way. Tomorrow, the games start 2 hours earlier, and that will continue for the rest of the season. Sunday will be a 2-hour earlier start time. Clutch will be in the inaugural match of the second round robin beginning this coming Sunday, I guess at noon, not morning so much. But tune into NES's Countdown 11:30, obviously. Be there or be square. You don't want to miss it. These are good teams, and they like to play League of Legends, and we all like to watch. Oh, okay, nice. Lyra came in, got 15 gold. Extra money if you share it with at least more than one person. Can't kill the trinket though, sadly, and no 10 gold to the pockets. Let's see which way Skarner actually goes. But first buff's going to spawn in about 12 seconds, and he will get a red buff leash. Looks like it will be a very similar start for the FlyQuest side, as the dual lane will also leash for Onda.
Yeah, they were planning on doing a bottom start here, but they just wanted to grab as many Spires as they could. And they are able to at least get that little bit of extra gold. But again, look, the FlyQuest side have actually been able to take bottom here as well, and Anda also getting a pull. So both these junglers are going to end up, top half of the map as far as their routes go, and we'll see if there's any sort of early action there because there is a decent amount of CC.
Follow-up crowd control is certainly one of the most valuable things to look for at any time you're going for a gank, and I feel like a lot of these lanes have that. A little bit of poke on a wild turtle as these dual lanes fight for control of the lane. Looks like it will be slightly shoved first by FlyQuest, but maybe not to a huge degree just yet. Hako has saved both his relic shield stacks so far, so he can last hit 2 of those melees very quickly in the next wave. And let's see who gets 2 first, if it can be used for much of anything. As the minions die, it's all at the same time. Bind's going to miss. Nice little juke there, and a bit of poke back and forth.
A bit of poke. You see the Airy coming out from JJ, not going for that glacial augment. We do have a little bit of jungle action there. Oh, Binding gonna hit for the disengage, get Turtle out of range for the rest of those passive procs.
I like that pathing by Onda, by the way. Grabs the scuttle and comes over to knock down the blast cone so that Flame doesn't have to do it because he's pushing. And that blast cone makes it so hard to survive getting ganked because they can cheat into that brush so quickly and suddenly surprise you. So really like how that play was planned out, basically. Doesn't have to do it himself, and he's completely fine.
Yeah, especially considering the timings there. A little bit dangerous for him to go do it himself. And then both junglers going to return to clearing. Looks like bottom lane pings are ready for that Scuttle Crab. Clear will be on the way. Continual harassment here from the Clutch Gaming duo as they do push in Turtle and JJ. And JJ also was playing in the Academy games last night. He was, of course, last weekend. He got 1 game, split games there with Stunt. And the team, again, has just said that they still have not decided on who is going to be the permanent starter there. I reached out once again, still working through scrim results and the communication and how they fit in with the rest of the team as well.
So something that's very interesting. It's been just the only team that's had a revolving door of players, and not necessarily for like negative reasons, like trying to find, oh my gosh, everything's going, falling apart. Who is it really going to be? But it is interesting to see what they will eventually solidify on, or if they actually have a competitive advantage of cycling players back and forth. Obviously, Fly has started every time he's been able to.
Yeah, especially for the duo lane, since support has to meld so well, not only with the team but also with a specific player for the laning phase. Oftentimes, it's very difficult for viewers to discern what was the leading cause of those types of switches. Lyra gonna chase Onda right out of his own jungle, but the ward was already placed, so objective secured there for Onda. Raptors are of the most important small camps
Yeah.
for junglers right now. You know, ton of experience and gold in those camps. So oftentimes, especially at the pro level, we see them just constantly fighting over the respawn timers of this camp.
Yeah.
Especially since Sejuani and Skarner are so good at clearing them out. This is the premier camp on the map.
I was going to say, there's a lot of factors that kind of multiply each other. They're easy to reach, they're fast to kill for both these squads, and they're actually worth the most gold of anything not named Krug. So a lot of factors why you'd want to fight for them more than anything else.
And they're considered more valuable than Krugs even, just because Krugs take so long
Because of
to
time,
kill.
yeah.
Yeah, and especially since we have a Skarner here and there's no Spire by the Krugs to help
Yeah.
out. Definitely going to be a pretty big prize, but Lero was able to defend it and he cleared out the vision just fine. So both teams still scaling up and fighting over that vision right now. Let's see what Onda gets this plant to clear out that ward. Yeah, get it.
Yep, all right, that's going to be 10 gold to his pocket, revealing it and getting rid of that little trinket here for himself. Gold pretty similar still for both these teams, 200 gold difference. JJ going to look for a bind. Nice dodge by Apollo, guessed it correctly.
Now, see if you have Glacial Augment. You walk up,
You auto him,
throw the auto,
then you hit the Q.
you wait for them to waste time dodging.
Fair enough. They trade blows back and forth. Bind going to get hit by a minion as Apollo jukes behind it. The bodyguard there in time. Wild Turtle, though, is starting to lose health, but he feels safe. He's actually not chugged that potion in inventory, so he's happy to stay a little bit more injured. They're going to get that top scuttle here for himself as well. Mid lane going pretty close to equal. Even though we don't see Vladimir mid very much at all, he's doing just fine so far against Evan.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of things in the current game as well that were introduced with the utility tree that is, Spellbook. He's gone with the minion dematerializer. I think he just used his last one for the Vladimir, helping him push the lane, which was something early game Vladimir, with the long cooldown on your Q, you had to worry about harassment, weren't able to really control the lanes that well early on, but as you can see, with the minion dematerializer, he's right up to that level 6. He's still holding on to the ignite, by the way, for his lane, for a possibility if there are some jungler interactions.
Just one of the cool things seeing is the game moves on and players learn more and more about the game. Even though we have dematerializer, pretty common pick no matter what, it does help you get through some bad landing phases. Nice blue buff steal there for Clutch, though. So Evan now on a low mana pool, able to get a whole lot of it back off of that. Nice blue buff for himself. Onda was back in base for that. And their own blue respawning soon. So nice timing right there. And FW has infinite mana.
First real little advantage that is being eked out here. We have basically 200 gold lead. CS pretty close for most of the lanes. We got the 10 CS or so for solo up on the top side, even though there are extra minions for Flames to kill off. Not that big of a difference has been made. Mostly, though, with this extra deep vision around the bottom half of the map in that jungle, there's a lot more setup here that is possible for CG. As we approach the level 6 on junglers, those are both very big playmaking ultimates, and they could occur down there around the dragon. It being a mountain, though, kind of reduces a little bit of the emphasis on that play.
Yeah, it's true. Hard to kill. It doesn't have nearly as much immediate impact on this, but eventually at some point that will get picked up here. As we have minions going back and forth and dropping, and it is, interestingly enough, Clutch Gaming actually, despite the Morgana pickup, who is doing better in the 2-on-2. Again, my instinct of the matchup says that probably should go Morg's way. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's just not quite as comfortable for the FlyQuest duo here. Any of those could be a possibility, but 400 gold lead for Clutch Gaming as they keep that wave pushed down.
Yeah, they're doing a good job, the Clutch Gaming duo, harassing while they're pushing as well. You can see constantly firing their abilities through the minions to also land some damage onto Wild Turtle here. Makes it very hard for Morgana, obviously, to land a bind through the pushing wave. And they also are concentrating on grabbing the CS under turret here for Turtle, which they've done a decent job at.
Totally have, as we have minions going back and forth. And interestingly, Clutch had several times to go for a pretty solid recall out of Apollo. I feel like if you're getting recurve bow or recurve bow pickaxe, that's a really good Varus back. He's on about 3,000 gold right now, and he's just waiting. And I kind of like that he's not letting Turtle get away, because it means Turtle can start stacking tier. And there's the flash. Oh no! He started bind before the flash. You actually cannot Q flash on Morgana. The Q still stuck up on the minion. Can't get anything with it.
Yeah, your projectile is going to originate from the starting
origin
position no matter what.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a whoopsie there. It's still big jungle playmaking abilities there at that level 6, though, and that's what they were trying to work off of, as we mentioned with the Sejuani and Skarner. But that is going to mean no movement on the bottom side there for FlyQuest. They were trying to pull something out of the trick bag there, but we have Lyra move in for a little bit of a counter here now that they know there's no flash on Morg.
That's a nice couple of wards there as well. They know a lot about what FlyQuest trying to do. They're going to get another camp steal for themselves on this side of the map, plus the entire topside jungle is available to poach as well, as you watch this attempted bind from JJ.
All right, yeah, so they know that there's no ward. He just barely steps out.
Yeah, and he had just started it.
He had already, just started it next to that range minion. Too bad for them, as it would have been a pretty clean follow-up there. Onda was pretty far down the lane, and Sejuani ultimate is very easy to land on a binded target like that. The range is super long.
It's a full 2 seconds then when that happens as well, so you imagine that's a lot of lockdown for the squad. Berserker's Greaves, plus that pickaxe recurve bow does come in for Apollo. Flashless decided it was time to buy and maybe get some move speed so it doesn't get jumped on by Morgana later on. That does mean, though, a full Muramana plus Mana Crystal comes through for Wild Turtle, so that's not too terrible, and as the Muramana can stack that pretty quickly. JJ has some time to clear wards out as he gets the full boots of mobility, and able to walk back down the map pretty quickly as well.
This is a pretty important game for both these teams as well, because there is a hot race for the playoff spots already starting to take place since the North American LCS is so competitive this split and so close. You know, these teams are only separated by basically that one game difference. You know, the extra win on Clutch Gaming and that obviously being the loss on FlyQuest side. If they won this one, good. Just fix that right up. Lyra's on a ward, by the way, when he's starting this dragon.
Feels pretty quick. It's slow, though, being a mountain. And with Bevan here, Vlad's not moving. He's under turret right now, and the dual lane's engaged. Other than a Sejuani steal, there's no really chance to stop this from happening. Okay, or other than... okay, it's fine. Clutch Gaming. Never give away Drake's to Ezreal ultimates. I imagine it's like Lyra and Apollo had a one-on-one at one point. Like, all right, my smite versus your ult. Let's train you. Let's never have this happen again. And happy to give it away. Good job, Lyra.
That's
nice
what they've been spending their practice time on.
Yeah.
Stealing and securing objectives. I like it. I like how Apollo would be like the jungle trainer.
Yeah.
Honing his skills. No dragon will be given up.
Dragon Whisperer himself has blessed Lyra with a smite power. Sweeper comes in, does not reveal that Skarner's around, but now sees it kiting down as the spot coming through as well. All right, smite fight number 2. Lyra does have it available. Who's going to get it? Goes over to Lyra, I do believe. Fight comes in, pops the hourglass on the bottom side. Now Apollo taking a lot of damage. Flanked down by Flame as well. He will lose his life. First blood comes through to Fly. The chase means a second kill as well. They've knocked down the Skarner. Hako's going to have to flash the wall. Going to get some time for himself. His Flame not going to jump over to get the chase. 2-0 FlyQuest. Well played fight.
Yeah, that's very good news for FlyQuest to strike back in this game. Even though Lyra is able to land the smite on the blue buff, they get the blue buff anyways off of his dead body, and this is going to give time for JJ and Wild Turtle to push up in this lane and get those minions into the turret, and quite a lot of damage onto the turret as well. First turret bonus gold is still available, and that is a large swing in the game, not only due to the gold, but also the territory you're going to get to work with. Here's the roam down, though. Clutch Gaming had everyone available, but they're all clumped up right here in this choke point, and Lyra was the last one out. Using his stopwatch there just meant that he was still in place afterwards for the rest of FlyQuest to focus on, and since they're the ones that had the teleport from a top laner, and Flame comes down, they get to completely trap the entire team in there. Solo, I believe he still had
Ignite. On Ignite at the time,
he still had Ignite there. You can only change your summoner spells if you go back to the fountain and use one of those summoner shards, so he was still sitting in lane, so he had the Ignite. He switched it during the replay, so you can't tell.
Yeah. But I was watching, Kobe was too. Smart man, noticed what was going on there. And that's the curse of playing Ornn. You don't have to go back to base to shop, so he just stays out there, Ignite the whole time, and then goes, crud, I can't join you guys, sorry.
That's some first world problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a hardcore first world problem. So I didn't go back to base to shop. I still have Ignite with my free summoner spells. Such is life for the squad. Either way, the gold very close still across these teams. Mountain Drake advantage for Clutch Gaming. 400 gold puts FlyQuest ahead, though. Nice little attempted buy. Not quite going to land, though. Hako was out of range of that one. Sheen also helping Turtle to stack up his Qs. And Apollo not enough money yet to go for the rest of Rage Blade. Couldn't afford the next piece there. Also interesting to note, you actually probably don't want to buy any ability power on Varus if you've got Sorcery Secondary, because Sorcery is going to give you a bunch of attack damage or ability power based which one's higher, and you'd rather have attack damage on Varus. So it's actually trolling if you buy a Blasting Wand. You just get worse stats by doing so. So even if he had the money, I think he shouldn't buy Blaster Mulan regardless.
Yeah, it's interesting to nitpick on items. And if we're talking about them as well, even the top one that you're taking a look at there, this full armor stacking from Solo with the Frozen Heart Rush. Cooldown reduction's nice on Ornn because you can get your shield more often for those trades, but Gnar actually does quite a lot of magic damage with the Hyper, and that's where you're getting most of your harassment procs on. It's 10% of their max health in magic damage, which all of that armor isn't going to help, and there isn't flat health there. But again, the cooldown reduction does help for getting your shield back up quicker for those trades to be able to get those off. In addition, though, Black Cleaver already rushed by Flame as well. He knows this is coming, so he's looking to shred the armor.
Let's see what comes through then as time moves on with that Black Cleaver in. We'll see if he can keep the kite going. 14 minions down for Flame is not bad. Going to get TP to help a team fight. He's going to go for the ult, and nope, Black Shield. JJ not going to get hit at all. I think regardless, Q's going to pop the rest of that one, but either way, out they go, and that attempted gank not going to work for Apollo. Burns the flash for nothing.
River is pretty clean for Clutch, though. Definitely would like to have a flash on your AD carry, but they do have the extra vision control for themselves. So they'll see Onda's approach if he comes from anywhere but directly down lane. And he could come directly down lane, as we saw earlier on. There's another chance at a Flash Morgana play. It's just a little bit more risky here, as Clutch Gaming are doing a very good job controlling the bottom side.
Ooh, big damage here in this mid lane, down towards the jungle. Seven's running away. The Tides of Blood does not land. Shotgun to buy a few seconds. And actually a flash over the wall. Onda did not want to get caught down, but Lyra could still chase. He gets the move speed out of the Spire, but nothing just yet, as Solo has TP down, goes to the ulti combo on to Fly. Can he get the kill on this one? Knocks him into the air, shoves him around a little bit. Hemo Plague might not mean enough. As he goes into the pool, flashing away, heals up with the minion. Something else got to hit him. Lyra comes forward, the flash in for Solo. The kill does come through. A snipe from Apollo helping as well. One kill on the board for Clutch.
While it does look good as Solo teleports in and gets the kill, the top lane is going to be sacrificed here. Flame should be able to get the turret. Let's see who gets it first. There's 3 people here in mid.
It's going to probably be Clutch on this one. They do get first turret. 350 bonus gold to their side, I believe is the number. And they get it on themselves. And there's 5 seconds later, the fact that Gnar gets it. So pulling the trigger, saying we got to make sure we stay in mid. The right choice, good call for Clutch. And TP may be worth it.
I would also say well played by Fibivin there. Kiting out and just staying at range just long enough to keep Fly interested as well, so he didn't go for a full retreat. They're able to secure the kill. They get mid turret, which is more important than top lane turret, honestly. Let's take another look at the replay, though, because bottom lane was going aggressive at the exact same time. This is why Onda flashes so early. He doesn't want to wait around for the collapse of Lyra and the Clutch Gaming bottom lane. Then, meanwhile, we had Solo teleporting in, and as you know, Ornn has quite a lot of crowd control, Freak.
Yes,
he's able
he
to
does.
keep Fly. Kiting it up right there, and in the end, they were able to chase it down once again with the flash, finishing it off and securing that extra objective for themselves. Now that the mid lane turret is down, once again, we talk about this one being so much more important because you get a lot more control of the jungle than you do out of the top lane turret, which is way up there on that island.
We've already seen Clutch happy to play for invades. Sometimes it backfires, like when they lost those 2 kills earlier on in the game, but they've gone for several blue steals to the squad already, and some of that, the bot lane, of course, was pushing in the 2-on-2, and maybe they get something else as well. Mount Drake is live. It would be their second. Got one already, and that means they can knock that down pretty quickly as a result. See if that does come through. Is Onda going to come back up on this side of the map? Look for some pressure towards Febivin. Push that Orianna backwards.
A lot of Mountain Drakes stacking up in this game. That's going to put some heavy pressure once we transition over to the Baron stage. It's going to show up at 20 minutes. And we'll see quite a lot of emphasis on Vision move towards that area. As of right now, FlyQuest don't want to let Clutch Gaming set up and grab number 2, so they're starting it off themselves. It's a bit risky, but Flame has teleport. Solo does not because of the mid lane play, and because of that, FlyQuest are going to be able to get this and even it up at 1 Mountain Drake apiece, unless there's some sort of crazy Hakuo steal.
Yeah, right? It is Clutch after all. There's weird way to do this, but no, it's going to come through. Nicely played by Fly. They had the lanes under pressure, and they got the Mountain Drake equalized. So, once again, the game only 500 gold apart, slightly to the favor of Clutch, but everything else essentially equal. Watching scaling will be interesting over time, but right now, a very close game.
It's kind of the unseen difference of the teleport timers where people are trading plays like that, right?
Yeah.
First turret, bonus gold, as well as mid lane control was definitely a positive, but then sending them on back, FlyQuest are able to get the Mountain Drake on the back side. Now, bottom lane, we do have that lane play. Onda has gone through the lane in the brush, and they're pushing on the turret to try and force down this tower.
3 vs 2 with a shield down. Hakuo can't easily stay under turret alongside Apollo anymore. They have to give up a lot of this damage
They've
here.
been roaming, actually.
Come in, that's going to be a dead turret. Also coming across from a hard CC. Anda and everyone else is going to be a quick stun picked up. Will it be more of a chase? A nice Glacial Prism means no, absolutely not. The team forced to run away. Turret gets picked up in the essentially 3-on-3 by the end of it all.
Yeah, they wanted actually to make a stand and keep that turret upright with Vivin roaming down earlier from mid lane, but the damage on the turret was too much. It went down just barely before Orianna arrives, and without that extra member, they aren't really able to keep the FlyQuest members around long enough to get that fight afterwards. So another objective here taken for FlyQuest, and now they're up in gold with the extra turret down.
Nicely played by FlyQuest. This is a team that, again, had looked really good in the previous week with their intended starting mid laner, even if they are still flip-flopping on supports. But looking pretty solid for themselves here, taking down one of the playoff hopefuls in Clutch Gaming. At least, sorry, winning so far against a playoff hopeful in Clutch Gaming. Still remains to be seen as there was much more game to be played here. Febby keeping the farm going, actually putting a solid farm lead for himself. He's plus 45 in the mid lane. Everyone else being pretty close to equal, so that's part of what's keeping their gold up and pretty close despite the kill deficit.
All right, looks like we're going to have another rotation here. You see the Vivin shove the mid lane, so the minions now are being dealt with by Fly, and this means 4 members of Clutch Gaming should easily be able to power down this turret. Then Vivin goes for his recall so he can try and recover, get back to mid lane, and they secure the objective.
Getting pretty rough for Solo here on the top. They're just seeing him push farther and farther back over time. The Flame is consistently pushing him around. Got a small farm lead, almost crushing the turret here as well, putting the health bar a bit lower. Yeah, Febby loses a little bit of farm in the mid lane. You're seeing Fly deny a few of the melees here as a result and get some turret damage. So we'll see if that ends up being the next objective of the day for FlyQuest here, as the other outers are already dead. But yeah, Febby helped make sure bot lane fell and came back to defend. Interestingly enough, Flame is also not rushing for Frozen Mallet. He's not continuing to go for duelist items. He's actually going back towards more defensive options with the earlier pickup on this adaptive helm. He's going for more armor afterwards. None of those, of course, are pieces of a Frozen Mallet. So interesting to see his choice, more team fighting.
Yeah, we'll see how it develops, because as you mentioned before, he was already getting the push in the 1v1 on Solo. He's controlling those sidewave minions, getting them into position for FlyQuest to try and make a play. And the rest of the FlyQuest team are now setting up vision around that Baron. I mentioned both teams have control of the Mountain Drake buff. They were both able to secure one for themselves. So the Baron, as a prize, will definitely go down quickly if there's a skirmish on the top side. And the bottom lane already in place. That's putting some extra pressure. Both top laners do have the teleport summoners available, even though they are currently on the bottom side of the map.
Well, TP's, yeah, on the other side of the map, and we're going to see the setup now for Drake. Sorry, Baron, I should say once again. Third Drake is going to be Mountain itself, as we are on the 22.5-minute mark. Next one will be spawning in 3-ish, I think, minutes for that third Drake. Be a meaningful difference in Baron killing speed when it does come through on this one. Clutch Gaming with the Spire as well as the Scuttle Crab control have a decent shot at looking at the Baron here for themselves. They try to wrest control the vision, looking for a little assassination on the other side. They see Anda, but afraid of repercussions for an invade. They will wait in the tri-brush. This could be a 2v3. Lyra's going to find Fly, going to find himself a stun. A lot of damage here, then a half HP. The pool burned and going to kite back before Lyra could have gone for an ultimate. Nice quick heal. Fly at half HP.
Yeah, we have a bit of a roam through the river, but it did look like semi-bluff here. 3 control wards for Clutch Gaming through this barren river, by the way. That's why we keep getting a little bit of antsy here on the FlyQuest side. Turtles now moving up to try and clear out some of the vision as the 3 members of FlyQuest huddle around their turret.
Yeah.
Try and keep Apollo from taking it.
Defense is good enough. Evan wasn't coming around. He was holding mid in case Wild Turtle pushed after the ward went down. So no 4v3, no dive, and she's going to be defensive wave clear once again for the Orianna.
Now let's start to think about what this fight is going to look like. And the setup here is going to be around this Baron Vision, but there's a QSS already built on an Ezreal. So Wild Turtle should be able to position. Oh, never mind. We have a finding.
Nice little block again. Hakuo putting the shield every time to get rid of those true shot barrages, just proving them as you will. As the recall comes out for the Vladimir on the top side. Fly currently on Ghost Flash. He's on team fight summoners, but not map mobility summoners. Looks like he wants to get into a 5-on-5 as part of the core group. not as a split pusher.
Yeah, I think this is definitely ghost time here because you want that extra mobility for the team fight to try and get to the back line. Varus and Orianna are low mobility backline carries that Vladimir can definitely disrupt. Clutch Gaming, though, the duo finally does take the last outer turret for themselves, grab that extra gold for their team. And there is going to be yet another Mountain Drake showing up. Oh, Apollo got stopped.
The Ghost popped in for the 1v1. Here comes the attempt towards Fly. Still more damage coming across here. He's got to kite away from a lot of this. But the Root is in the knockup there as well. The team not here in time to defend. And 2 quick kills come in, courtesy of the duo lane of Clutch Gaming.
Oh, this is going to be Clutch Gaming moving into position around Baron. 2 kills given over is so much. This is only red buff on Fly and Wild Turtle that's going to try and harass the members down.
See if they can get it for themselves. 5 versus 3. Clutch of the people. The QSS, but Wild Turtle goes back over the wall. Flash and everything else burn. And oh, he's still going to get found by the Ram God. The shotgun going to get him for sure. The snipes are in. 3 kills in a row now as the rest of the squad forced to run, but the jungler's still alive with Flash. Will be hard to Baron with Onda alive.
Now it's just 2 members. This is going to have to be Onda stealing the Baron. Otherwise, Clutch Gaming going to walk away with this one.
What it looks like. Will Apollo last hit yet another Baron spot laner. 2000 HP over the wall, gonna get picked up by Lyra, lands the smite on it. Just a little bit too late to the party on this one. Flame not cutting away, but the health bar is getting low. Heal and Flash burn to get away, looking for the play. Almost Mega Gnar, but he's stunned up. And slowed down and can't find the Mega Gnar. Out goes the squad. Clutch. Lyra might get found.
Holy.
They get out with the Baron and 3 kills.
Flame did so much damage there trying to harass Clutch Gaming as they're exiting this Baron pit, continually throwing out the boomerang, getting a bunch of Hydro procs here, but not able to keep them in place long enough for the bind to land. You know, there was no Sejuani ultimate to land, and FlyQuest just their fingertips so close to trying to stop that one, but it was too much. You know, remember this all started with an over-aggressive play here from Fly.
Yeah.
Sees the recalling 80 carry and just immediately thinks he's in solo territory here. So,
But he knows Hako was around. He just saw him.
yeah, but he's a Vladimir. He's going for the solo on this guy. The heal from Apollo keeps him upright. The exhaust comes down from Hako, and honestly wasn't even close there as the teleports came in to secure that defense.
Yeah.
Then it got really bad here. Clutch Gaming going for the Baron threat here. As you can see on the minimap, they are also taking, or on the split screen there, they're also taking the next mountain, but there were just too many tools that Clutch Gaming had to deal with this 3v5.
Yeah, no ult had to be used.
All the ults still available, and they're able to nail them right there, taking down Wild Turtle.
I do want to point out one small play that happened. JJ tried to ult, then stopwatch, but was chain CC too quickly. I think it was ulting during Glacial Fissure. Could have had a slightly better Soul Shackles there to meta turn the fight a little differently, but unfortunate for JJ, was not able to combo that together, did die, and we saw the rest of that fight afterwards. Second Mountain Dragon Force went Clutch Gaming's way as well. With the Baron, they're sieging. Mid lane tier 2 gonna fall. 4-2 in kills and turret score here, as Solo pretty much safely just kind of cutting away from Flame as best he can, staying alive.
Yeah, and actually he's going for the Randuin's next to reduce what crits?
Yeah, there's literally 0% crit chance in anyone.
As soon as I see a Randuin's being built, I just assume that there's going to be a crit on the other side, so I start looking down the item list here.
Nope.
Honestly, without the crit reduction passive, Randuin's is not a very effective armor item, as if you're just looking at the gold values.
If you want an attack speed slow armor health item, you can buy Thornmail, which has a fairly similar stat profile and a actually useful passive against
Super
attackers.
useful, honestly.
Super good, yeah. So slightly disagree with the Randuin's choice. Yeah, the active slow can be good, but it's not glacial Gnar. That would maybe bias that a little bit.
For
So,
sure.
yeah,
I think
agree with
if
you.
you're looking for a slow, then Frozen Mallet all the way.
That's also true. Well, the choice he made here, we can ask him about it later. I'm sure Twitter will ask him, and he will answer at some point. So follow Flame's Twitter. He'll tell you why he did it. Fly and Onda pushed back a little bit as Lyra walks into 3 people and feels safe about it, as the rest of the squad coming through the red buff area. Hako getting poked at, but it's a pretty tanky Braum, all things considered. Clutch look for their next piece of the map to take control of top lane tier 2, likely to be theirs. They've brought Solo up, so all 5 are here.
Oh, you gotta watch out here as well. That Ornn ultimate can really catch people off guard and cut off any members of FlyQuest that stayed at the secondary turret. I think they made the right call here, just seeding secondary turret, backing way off. They don't want to give up any more deaths at this point, and the Baron buff is about to time out. So the inhibitor turrets aren't under any threat, those will stay intact, and FlyQuest can try and make another stand, another defensive play when they have better vision, better setup.
We'll see if they can, but they are starting to bleed a lot of gold away. Even if they're making the best choices they can, 6,000 gold difference, pretty meaningful all things considered, as the power spikes are still coming online for these other champions. Blade of the Ruin King, not too far away for Apollo, about 600 gold to go for that, which will be a nice power spike, getting rid of a pretty high health Gnar and Sejuani. Febiven just pretty much massive here, has all of his magic penetration items pretty much online, so he cuts through everyone pretty close to equally at this point. You see a nice 3,600 gold Baron power play is another 2,000 gold earned over top of the Baron itself. Once again, looking for a blue buff, so this will be at least number 3 for Clutch Gaming, maybe even 4. They've really been putting a lot of pressure on this side of the map, giving Febby infinite mana. And Orianna gets to keep spamming. Hasn't been in a lot of the fights, but the ones he's been in has gotten kills and assists in.
Yeah, I mean, they honestly haven't had to have too many of those fights, too many of the big confrontations yet. Flame right now is harassing Solo, trying to delay Clutch Gaming's siege of that last secondary turret that they have standing on the bottom side. They're able to keep that turret healthy, but it's mostly because Clutch Gaming don't feel like they have to take any risks right now. You know, they're just trying to keep FlyQuest bottled up on their own side, starving them of vision. As you said, they're controlling all of those neutral objectives, not just the Dragons and Barons, but the buffs as well. So we'll see if any of the fights do break out over the vision, though.
See if they can. Right now, there's not a lot to fight over, though. It's really just the siege for the turrets, since Baron's in 2 minutes and Drake is more than that. At some point, of course, they will start fighting over that, as you're mentioning, Kobe. Just it's going to be hard for FlyQuest to leave their base. Time ticks down. Apollo can get the farm on these sides of the map. Should be pretty much on Ruin King at this point now. Yeah, he has the money for it. Blue buff again to Febiven. Orianna getting 17 in a row at this point.
All right, FlyQuest making a push on the mid lane here, but the defense should be in place from Clutch Gaming. And I think it is just going to be a little bit of a wait here until the Baron spawns. In the current meta, it's very difficult for teams who maybe in the past would have felt comfortable diving and pushing a lead forward by going after one of these inhibitor turrets. But with so many tanks being prevalent now, there's a lot of crowd control floating around for the defensive teams, and they have a lot of ways to turn tower dives into complete reversals of a game situation. So a lot of teams have shied away from the tower dives and from going for those more risky end games, and kind of just waiting on the Baron buff to be able to cleanly end them out. Plus, with all the Mountain Drakes, it makes it a lot more tempting.
Yeah, absolutely the case. I can't disagree with Clutch Gaming's choice of how they're approaching the end of this game, but you would expect in a lot of cases that if they get this Baron, it should turn into a near victory. Inhibitors going down at the very least, maybe the setup for the actual end of the game. 15 seconds after Baron goes down, Ocean Drake spawns, and that's going to be another objective that's worth considering. It will help sieging at the very least. More chickens getting stolen away. Smite comes in. I think it's more of that money, and here's Baron in 18 seconds now. Though FlyQuest did get the Scuttle Crab, they will get a bit of vision for a little while. But continue to play for these sides of the map. Quicksilver Sash done for Varus. Hawkwell building towards Mikhail's Crucible, which I quite like, actually, against a Sejuani Morgana team. Very telegraphed crowd control, where it's really easy to then reflexively get rid of the CC. You like that quite a lot out of Hakuba.
I especially like it as an item built when you're ahead.
Yeah.
Because one of the only ways for the enemy team to come back is one of those CC chains, a pick with a Morgana binding or something. So Clutch Gaming really covering their bases here, trying to remove any of the comeback options from FlyQuest. Let's see, Flame going to try and charge up that Gnar bar as they look for an opportunity here. All of the control words for Clutch Gaming are, again, putting so much vision pressure on FlyQuest, taking away a lot of the answers.
All right, here comes the push towards the top of the jungle, but FlyQuest again waiting in the wings. Defensively enough, they've got some wards. They're not really under attack just yet. Scuttlecrab is gone. I think the Baron Pit itself is dark, but there's a ward in that little ramp that's spotted. They're going to find Flame in the mid lane. A lot of damage coming across. Hops backwards. Will be knocked up despite the flash. He's going to go down for this one. Top laner dead. No TP available. 5v4 for Clutch.
So much crowd control coming out of the Fog of War here. Everybody on Clutch Gaming has hard CC at their disposal. Apollo's the one, I believe, who started that one off with the Varus ultimate. Just nails the mini Gnar, and that's an easy target. Now the Baron's going to be started up. Let's see what Lyra goes for.
Oh, they're going to find themselves a pull in the front line. They force the flash onto the rest of the squad around. Here comes the top lane. The Vladimir instead, rather shocked by the back line. They just pop him anyway. Another one kill picked up for Clutch. Ana going to drop as well. 2 in a row. 3 if you count the dead top laner, and it's Wild Turtle. JJ forced the kite back, and now Ezreal versus Baron. Clutch has seen this before. Will they play out right? The answer is likely yes.
Hakuo does have Braum, so he can block all of the Ezreal possibilities of stealing.
Impossible to steal. Thank you very much. Lyra grabs a smite again, and Clutch secures another objective, a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, that was an absolute massacre here in the river. They still, even after using some ultimates there to get the initial pickoff on Gnar, Lyra is happy to ult the front line just to start it off. And then Fly on Vladimir does go right to the center, but he immediately gets focused. And Vivivin, while Vladimir's getting focused, Vivivin leaves his Orianna ball near the back line. He got both Wild Turtle and JJ in that shockwave.
Yep.
While the rest of the team was focusing down the Vladimir, and they just completely wiped FlyQuest from the map here. Now with a second Baron to empower the push, you got to think that they're going to be able to break inside the inhibitor turrets.
And yet another CC chain from Clutch Gaming here. Skarner and Braum together. No Zhonya's available or pool for Fly. Unlucky for the Vladimir here. And this, yeah, probably is a game-winning push, or gets very close to that one, as yet another blue gets stolen away. They're living in the opposing jungle at this point in time. FlyQuest, sadly for them, they looked good last week, but they are getting routed in this game here by a team sitting around 5th, 6th place. The minions start falling on the bottom side of the map. 6 guns. The only turrets left are inside the base, and even those might have been living too much longer. Push continues. Minions going down, though, and Lyra left to run away yet again, but more attacks coming in. This turret down a half HP. Apollo feels pretty safe. With red buff on, he's going to pull crowd control, but he's going to be fine. The turret's going to fall. Bottom inhibitor now open, as FlyQuest have yet to find the fight that will actually get them back into the game.
Alright, inhibitor still standing, and JJ there on the Morgana still looking for his bindings. But as you talked about, there's a lot less opportunities for him to really make, you know, a big pick or a big play. Hakuo on Braum is actually, you know, a decent target if you can get some of those utility support cooldowns blown early on, then maybe it'll open up an opportunity. They get the Unbreakable down.
It doesn't even matter. The inhibitor going to fall. On this point, if you don't defend the turret, you probably shouldn't defend the inhibitor itself. And so first inhib is down. The movement now towards the mid lane. Still got a little bit of time there, but not a ton of damage as the squad comes around. Vivivin comes up, as does the rest of the teammates. And Flame on the left-hand side, getting closer to Mega Gnar is a point of concern. That one of the ways back into the game is finding a big 5-man ultimate. So instead, all the way back to the top side. But Flame basically on a maxed out bar. Is this the window for FlyQuest? Can they find the Mega Gnar? Bind? No. Onda on the side, though. Flame looks like he might want to go in. A nice knock up there for Ornn. Mega Gnar is available now. The dive on in. The Unbreakable up there as well. And Mega Gnar does not find his way in. Shockwave finds Proto. Nearly takes him out. The snipe! Apollo gets him. 8 kills to 2 now, and in a 5v4 without a marksman. Maybe you can't win that fight at all. Second inhibitor is going to drop with the minion wave. They might choose to stay in the top lane, actually. Black Shield blocks away the Braum slow, and yes, the fight will continue. 4 versus 5, back to Mininara, knock up onto Fly. A lot of damage here, and again gets popped out. Doesn't get to press any of his buttons. A stun for JJ, but he's a support, it doesn't matter. 3 kills again in a row picked up in this fight. First turret will fall, second one under fire as well, and Flame cannot possibly defend this. 5 versus 1, they chase the Gnar out of the base, send him back to history, and knock down yet another turret. Only the Nexus left standing. That's going to be Clutch Gaming improving to 5-4, a positive record at the end of the first round robin.
Ooh, what a smooth game from Clutch Gaming this time around.
Absolutely.
So much crowd control in the team composition that once they won the little skirmishes, there were 2 basically skirmishes on early in the game, from that point they were able to just wear down the turrets, get consistent picks with the crowd control, controlling vision around Baron, and securing themselves their objectives.
And really nice stuff. Perfect kill participation for Apollo. He seemed to be the one almost always actually opening them up. The big mid lane pick where they found Flame by himself running forward. A lot of those were Apollo sending in the ultimate, finding the roots, and kind of ironic that it's the Morgana team getting picked off, not finding the picks. But JJ was really never there with the one face checking the brushes, and it was a really well-played game by Clutch. They had hard crowd control on every single member on the team, and they only ever burned at most 2 ults for a pick, had the other 3 for the 5v4, and 5v4, you're going to win that team fight with 3 ults.
That's definitely a good point to bring up, too. The coordination to not overdo it and overexpend cooldowns when you do get a pick. If everybody has, you know, CC and they don't use every single one and layer them all, then, you know, they got plenty left in the bag, and we saw it used multiple times here for them. But honestly, this is looking very good for Clutch Gaming as we're moving to the second half of the season here. This is a team, you know, Envy they were in the playoffs before, and they feel like they've improved on that roster and on that team play. So definitely have high hopes for this season.
Speaking of improving on the roster, if you do want to know more about Clutch, there's actually a feature that came out yesterday, the day before.
Eyes on.
Eyes on Clutch Gaming. It's a lot of it. Sebastian Park, their head of esports, I think is his name. I forget exactly his title, but talks about putting the roster together, where Fevin was like their number 5 mid laner of anyone, and the number 1 like from Europe entirely. Like they were like shocked they could get him. Super happy about Lira, Apollo, Haku, all these other guys. Solo didn't get mentioned very much as a pseudo rookie. He doesn't have that same cachet, but they were so happy with the roster. And yeah, they just came together. Of course, so did many of the other teams. But yeah, 5-on-4 in the first half, which means, you know, and if they can keep improving, they're a very likely team to make it into the postseason. We'll see if they can keep that one going. But now, going to send it down to Avali and Clutch Gaming's veteran, AD Carry.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Apollo, and it's only fitting that I get to talk to you here at the end of the round robin, since I talked to you the first day of the spring split. Are you happy with your performance in the split so far?
I think, yeah, it's going pretty well. I think we had like a slow start, kind of, because we got 0-2'd by, I think it was like C9 Echo Fox. But other than that, we've been picking it up. We've been improving a lot. I feel like our growth has been really good. So yeah, I'm liking it a lot.
Now, looking forward to the future, Clutch Gaming is kind of in the pack of everyone who's competing for like those last few playoff spots. What's going to give Clutch the edge over those other teams to help you secure that spot?
I don't know what's going to give us the edge, but I think we have been improving a lot, like I said. So it kind of seems like some teams are stagnating a little bit, like they're not improving as much. Obviously, the top teams are looking really strong, but like the middle of the pack teams feel like they're making the same mistakes, and I think we're improving and we're not making the same mistakes as we did before.
I'd like to see you guys keep climbing. Now, you guys tomorrow have a quick rematch against TSM, who you beat last week. Now, going into that match, are you worried that they know how to beat you now, or are you confident you're going to take them down?
Well, I'm not going to like pretend our victory was clean. It was very like questionable, so I think they're going to take us a little more seriously this time, and it's definitely going to be a rough match. Like these guys are still really good, even though we beat them, so it's going to be fun.
Apollo, congratulations again on your win. And for more on this game, let's hear from the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. 3 wins in a row for Clutch Gaming, pushes them to 5-4 at the end of the first round robin. I feel like they kind of snuck in there on the over 500 win rate here at the midpoint of the season. Doing it in somewhat dominant fashion over FlyQuest this time around. I think the thing we want to take a look at the most is a peculiar draft strategy, if anything, from FlyQuest here.
And the pivot to focus on is that Vlad pick in the last spot of the first rotation, where you can kind of see what they're thinking. Their Orange already picked. They take the Vlad, making it seem like a counter pick there, so no more bans come in around the top lane so they can get the Gnar later. And then if they see something they like more, they can flex and take a different mid laner and keep the Vlad top, or put it down that mid lane. It's an interesting idea, but in execution, it leaves you with a really weird and not great team comp.
And it's because I feel like Clutch attacked Fly's champion pool.
Absolutely.
They saw what Fly was good at last week in their victories, and they just said, we're going to ban all those mid lane champions and put Febiven on Orianna, where there's nothing left that will actually win this matchup. They tried to get value out of it, as you say, by flexing it, but they're still in a bad matchup, and Febiven crushed.
Right, it gets you to those complexities of the draft phase, which is where each of those moves in isolation has logic behind it, has thought behind it, and even can be said to, they're leaving themselves options. But if at the end of the day you have a team comp that doesn't have a way of working together, how are you going to win a game? And that's kind of what happened here. Freak even calling it out. The team with the Morgana is the one that was getting picked and engaged on more often.
Yeah, it was like, how does this team comp fight? It's like Vlad and Gnar jump in, and then Sejuani hopefully hits an ult, or Morgana hits an ult, but you don't have good burst follow-up, really. So they had a very strange team comp that just did not work well compared to Clutch's very standard and very strong team comp.
Right, exactly that. I want to push forward now to an individual look at JJ. He was one of our ones to watch top of the day, so of those 5 players. 0-2 now for FlyQuest with JJ. We do know that they're still searching for their starting support between both him and Stunt. Haven't landed on anything just yet.
Yeah, FlyQuest has been clear that they're going to be sharing time on stage. But from the time I have seen of JJ on stage, I much prefer this team with Stunt.
Okay.
So JJ didn't necessarily have lane pressure with Wild Turtle, Morg, Ezreal against a Braum, where I feel like they should feel safe pushing up. They were pushing their turn almost the whole game down in CS. And on top of that, he wasn't actually getting any bindings in the middle of the late game to even get the picks.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where if you watch that lane closely, there's a part where they had it pushed up and they were all kind of low on mana and HP, and you're like, perfect time to go back, get your tier, do that Ezreal stuff, and then they just stayed in lane. Their first back was 9.5 minutes in the game, where Ezreal actually bought a full mana mune, and it's a little surprising to see that because they've spent the whole rest of that laning phase pushed in under the turret when they didn't take that one recall.
Only 2 games of evidence on the big stage, so we'll see how he develops over the course of the year. And now we come to Clutch Gaming. Again, sitting at 5-4 in that playoff picture currently. But again, 5-4 under the radar. It's one of those things where all of a sudden they're out in front of teams like CLG, TSM, and whatnot. It's kind of crazy.
I think we were both very critical of this team at the end of last week. We're like, this should be a 2-6 team based off how they played in week 4. And yet they did get those 2 wins, and now they've won here 5-4. While it might not have been the prettiest way of getting here, this is a great position to be in for a team that is vying for those kind of bottom half of the playoff spots.
Right, and for a team that no one actually assumed was going to be in the finals, as an example, right? And so for them, kind of matching or meeting expectations up to this point, now it's about where do they go from here.
Yeah, and I think it's if they can keep Lyra comfortable in the early games to allow Febiven to scale up as a big carry, because that's kind of an identity crisis I feel like this team did have early on in the season, is Lyra was falling behind early because he wasn't really getting the buy-in from his teammates to play the early game style that he was used to playing on Envy. And they just have to agree on what they're doing. We know they have good players. And I still do think that they're 5-4, but they should have lost a lot of those games that they did win. But if they solve their synergy problems long term, they're still going to be fine.
That's exactly kind of what we were talking about earlier in the last post game, where it's like C9 have this awesome play style where they all gel together. Clutch don't have that right now, but they can still find it. The fact that they're 5-4 while still searching is great for them.
Great positioning for Clutch at the midpoint of the season for FlyQuest. 3-6, nothing to scoff at, but definitely looking for improvement on the back half. We've got one more game before we call it a day. Optic Gaming and Golden Guardians face off when we come back. Don't touch that browser.
Play comes in, pops the hourglass the bottom side. Now Apollo taking a lot of damage. Flanked down by Flame as well. He will lose his life. First blood comes through to Fly. Fight away from a lot of this. But the root is in the knockup there as well. The team not here in time to defend. And 2 quick kills.